Whoa, look at all these. What kind of tomato is this?
Brandy wine.
This is a brandy wine. What about this one?
Cherokee purple.
Cherokee purple. What about these?
Those are either early girls or celebrities.
Early girl or celebrity.
That's pretty nice. And then there are some purple zebras, but they're down there in the...
Some purple zebras. So that's the majority of the strains of tomato that we have. This is a lot. And I think this one's from the garden too.
Cantaloupe, yeah.
Cantaloupe, nice. So what in the world are we going to do with all these tomatoes?
You mean what did we did with them?
What have we started doing with these tomatoes?
What did we already do with them?
Yes.
I made, it's kind of in between a soup and a sauce. I'm gonna call it a base.
Okay.
And pretend like that's a thing. Actually, I think it is a thing.
Tomato base?
Tomato base. You can eat it as a soup, which I've been snacking on
Oh, it
it all
smells
afternoon.
incredible. Can I try a spoonful?
It's very hot.
Oh, that's exceptional. That is very good.
Yes.
So what are you planning on doing with this base?
So I've already got some that I poured over ground pork and peppers and onions and squash from our garden. And so that'll be ready soon. Henry.
Keep saying no.
Henry's not a fan. Henry's a very good eater, but he's not a fan of tomatoes.
Doesn't like the tomatoes.
As of yet, I don't know if he'll like the tomato soup, but might eat some as soup and might eat some as cold soup or gazpacho. He keeps looking at us, Nana. But yeah, all I did was me and Nana. Nana helped a lot. We cut up the tomatoes, we cut the bad spots out, we cut the stems out, and then we just chunked them in with the seeds and the skins and everything. Threw in some basil, some sage, some red hot chili pepper from our garden. I think that was it. Some salt, some black pepper.
Nice.
And just blended it all up with an immersion blender, and it is delicious.
Awesome. So we still have plenty of tomatoes left. Any thoughts or designs on what we're going to do with all these guys?
Probably salsa.
Salsa is the next step. And so we've actually been growing a lot of peppers of various kinds, jalapenos and red hot chilies. And so I think we have a lot of ingredients that we've grown that would be appropriate for a salsa creation.
It would be appropriate.
So, okay, awesome. So salsa is next. Are we going to be working on those soon?
Sometime soon. We're tired.
One thing at a time.
We're tired.
Well, I can't wait to get my mouth in this pot.
For dinner tonight, I took the tomato base and I stirred up some ground sausage from Franken beans, as well as garden peppers and squash and onion, and we're gonna have it over a little bit of rice, and that will be our dinner.
Yummy. One thing I'll note about our tomato growing journey this year is that we haven't really watered them that much. The last time I watered these tomatoes was probably, a month ago. But they've been growing really well. I mean, just look at how these sun golds are doing. This is just incredible. I haven't watered this tomato plant in over a month. Now, that's not because this tomato plant can survive without water. It's just we've been getting regular doses of rain. I'd say every few days it's rained. So I just literally haven't needed to water my garden, which is cool. But now that it's been hot and it's been a stretch of a few days without rain, I think I'm going to probably water these guys today. Not today, later tonight. It's best practice to not water your plants in the middle of the day because the water that you put down is just going to evaporate right away. So I'll wait till the evening. I'll wait till dusk. And I wonder if it also has something to do with the comfrey juice that I created, the comfrey tea. I diluted that down and I sprinkled a little bit on these tomatoes, and maybe that has something to do with how well they've done. So, I mean, obviously we've gotten so many tomatoes, and our tomato harvest this year has been incredible without much in the way of maintenance, without much in the way of even watering. Again, though, It's been a spicy one. Like right now, I'd say it's like at least 90 right now, if not higher. It's supposed to get up to 95 ambient temperature. It feels like is way over 100. So, and that's Fahrenheit. And that's rough. I mean, it's been spicy these past few days. So I think I'll treat my tomato crop to a nice little bath this evening. But it's just kind of an interesting observation that it's been largely hands off in the garden. Not only the tomatoes, but our peppers as well. Our peppers, I'll take you guys over to the peppers. Our peppers have been gangbusters these past few days, these past few weeks. Our peppers have been going great. Jalapenos, red hots, bananas, shishitos, they've been doing wonderfully. Also, I'll point out, the okra has been doing really good. I've never been a huge fan of okra. However, Holly and Nana Jana have always loved okra. And it grows really well in our soil here in East Tennessee. There's not many things that do grow well, but okra is one of them. You can basically leave this alone. You don't need to do much, and it grows like a weed, which is great. And they have turned me on to fried okra, which I do enjoy eating the fried okra. It's just the sliminess of the regular okra I can't get into. To each their own. If you fry it up, though, I can handle it. Now, to those that are curious, since the last video, we haven't lost any chickens, thankfully. At least, we haven't that I know of. I need to do a head count of the chickens. I haven't done a chicken head count in a while, and I'm probably due for it. I think when I get the next round of chicks, which will probably be pretty soon, chicks or pullets, I'll do a proper head count just to see how many chickens I've got. But as you may remember in the last video, as I was getting ready to stake out the chicken run for the evening, a skunk came up and started watching me. And so I took a shot at that skunk. Whether I hit him, I don't know. I'm not sure, but hopefully I scared him. That's the first thing I did. And the second thing I did, you'll excuse this piece of wood, but I noticed this hole right here. This hole is where I've been finding the carcasses, the chicken carcasses, directly underneath this hole when I had lost a chicken. So I had found 3 or 4 chicken carcasses right here. So the thinking is that whatever was getting in, whether it be a skunk or a raccoon or whatever, was coming in through this little hole, as you can kind of see here, in the barn wall. And since I plugged it up, so I'll walk around to the other side, but I put cinder blocks in front of it on that side, and I also put a cinder block on this side. And since I did that, we haven't lost any chickens. So I was going to invest in one of those tube flappy guys. I know Justin Rhodes does that. They're not super cheap. So before I jump in and invest in one of those arm flappy air dancer guys, whatever you want to call it, I want to see how effective this is. Yeah, so on this side, as you can see, I just threw some cinder blocks down. So if anything was trying to get in through there, as you can look how big that hole is. It's just nuts. If anything wanted access to the chickens around the electrical fence, this is how they get in, is they just waltz in through here. It doesn't look that big to you and I, but to a skunk or maybe even a small raccoon, that's nothing to go in and get your meal for the evening. So I covered that up. No losses since then. So what I'm going to do now, I don't want to just keep cinder blocks here the whole time. I'm actually going to screw in a panel, one right here, and one on the other side. I'm going to screw them in just so there's a permanent blockade over this hole that critters can't get through. So that's my project this afternoon, is just making sure that this hole is covered. I don't need it to be.
It's heavy last night.
But no real casualties. Okay, yeah, that'll work. Let me go get a bit. Nothing's getting in there. And then, for good measure, I'm just going to throw these cinder blocks up here and store them.
Yeah, why not?
Just a little extra. And that is no longer breachable by a small mammal.
Right.
That's just not going to happen. So I think that ought to take care of that breach
Good to go.
for now. Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
So what's the next step? Well, hope that closing that breach will solve our chicken loss problems, at least for now. Maybe there's a predator that was just used to having a regular meal on a regular basis, and now he'll go on to new feeding grounds because this plug up is too much of a bother. That's the hope. In the meantime, what about aerial predators and our concern for aerial predators? Well, hopefully Skeeter, our buddy Skeeter over there, is providing a fright to any potential aerial predators, but we'll see. I need to get myself a good head count of the chickens, and when I get new chickens, I need to get them into the coop every night. I need to get them used to going into the coop every night. Our current batch of chickens, they've gotten lazy in that regard, and they sleep and they perch everywhere else but the coop at night. That won't be the case in future generations of chickens that I bring in. I'll coop them up in the evenings. It's just something I've got to do. Maybe build a bigger coop. That might be a project in my future. You know, I do use that A-frame for brooding out new generations of chickens. I'll keep chicks in there. But if we get meat chickens in the next few months, then I'll be using that to move around the pasture. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to consider. But in terms of where we're at right now, tactically, and dealing with our predator problem, I hope, fingers crossed, that we've at least bought ourselves some more time before we get the next batch of chickens, chicks, or pullets. We've bought ourselves a little bit of time to keep any predators at bay, and I can think of other ideas for different types of predators. If we lose more to aerial predators, I'm just going to go ahead and buy one of those floppy tube guys. But right now, I don't know if I need to. So that's where we stand on the Yosted this late July 2023. That's where things are. Growth in the future, better opportunities in the future, more time in the future. But for now, we're maintaining. We're trying our best while juggling raising a kid and working 60 plus hours a week. We're doing our best, and I'm excited for the future and all the different projects we have lined up. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and until we see you again next time, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.
Alright, I gotta feed this little monkey. Honey.